Hello and welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Television with the most important events of the day. I'm your host, İlham. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, İlham Aliyev, received a delegation led by Chairman of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, Vyacheslav Volodin.
Добро пожаловать. Рад вас видеть. Уверен, что визит будет очень полезным и приятным.
Welcoming the delegation, President Ilham Aliyev said he was sure that the visit will be very useful and pleasant. Noting that years have passed since Vyacheslav Volodin's previous visit to Azerbaijan, the head of state said that interparliamentary relations had developed rapidly during this period. We have been in constant contact with the State Duma and the Federation Council, both at the level of leadership and at the level of MPs. This is a very important factor of interstate relations between our countries, and these relations have a very positive momentum, said the head of state, and added that regular meetings at the level of heads of state also create conditions for maintaining this dynamism. As a whole, if we consider the agenda of our relations, it is quite broad and covers practically all areas. It would probably be easier to pinpoint areas where our cooperation is not so active, because all indicators in the political, economic, transport, energy and humanitarian fields are visible, and we are seeing very good dynamics, said the head of state, saying that the key thing is to focus on the results, and all the issues agreed on are being implemented. President Ilham Aliyev added 8 roadmaps have been agreed and are being implemented in the economic, commercial, information, communication, transport and other spheres. There is a precise schedule for the implementation of the issues set in each direction, and the implementation is being monitored. Therefore, we can say that there is only a positive result here. Let me emphasize again that these results have been achieved by our joint efforts and of great importance for our countries and, in my opinion, for the region as a whole. Of course, regional security issues are always on the agenda of our relations. We recently talked about this in our meeting with the Russian President in Samarkand. Of course, peace in our region is necessary for all countries and all peoples. Our agenda is quite unequivocal. We have repeatedly stated that we are in favor of long-term and sustainable peace, the solution of all problems related to our neighbors, and the recovery of this region from the difficult situation it was in for 30 years. Regarding your field, I must say that we intend to continue our relations both within the framework of international institutions and in a bilateral format. You will meet with your counterpart. I think you will also review the agenda in detail. In short, there are many issues to talk about because the agenda is quite broad and effective. In my opinion, the main directions we are focusing on are evidence of positive dynamics of bilateral relations. Welcome again. Although your visit will be short, I think it will be very fruitful, noted President Ilham Aliyev.
Еще раз, бездом, хоть и короткий у вас визит, но, думаю, будет очень плодотворный.
Спасибо, уважаемый господин президент.
Thanking President Ilham Aliyev, the Chairman of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, Vyacheslav Volodin, conveying the kindest words and friendly greetings of President Vladimir Putin, noted that the relations were developing in many ways thanks to both presidents. Vyacheslav Volodin touched on the Declaration on Allied Interaction and said this is a very serious level achieved on the basis of a truly strategic partnership. That is why it is extremely important that we develop interparliamentary relations. We have talked about this. The pandemic has really disrupted our plans. If we talk about our interparliamentary interactions, the meetings, dialogue and communication formed the basis of this activity. Of course, all this was done in the form of video conferencing. This format was the main one, but if there are no direct conversations, it is difficult to talk about the development of relations as in the mode of video conferencing. Therefore, as soon as the situation related to the pandemic began to ease, we took advantage of this opportunity and agreed with our colleagues to meet and discuss the development of our relations, because the declaration signed by the presidents of the Russian Federation and the Republic of Azerbaijan emphasizes that our interparliamentary relation should be developed. Therefore, we will discuss communication formats and new approaches in order to make a tangible contribution to addressing the issues of legislation and those discussed at the level of the heads of state, said Vyacheslav Volodin. The head of state thanked for the kind words and greetings of Vladimir Putin and asked the Chairman of State Duma to extend his greetings to the President of the Russian Federation.
A delegation led by Chairman of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, Vyacheslav Volodin, visited the Alley of Honor to honor the memory of the national leader Heydar Aliyev. Prominent ophthalmologist, academician Zarifah Aliyeva was also commemorated. The delegation then visited the Alley of Martyrs to pay tribute to Azerbaijani heroes who sacrificed their lives for the country's independence and sovereignty. A wreath was laid at the Eternal Flame Monument. In New York, an awareness campaign was held against military provocations and the aggressive policy of Armenia against Azerbaijan. During the campaign, a car with LED screen, which displayed Azerbaijani realities, moved around the Manhattan district, the historical center of the metropolis. The screen displayed such slogans as "Azerbaijan wants peace, Armenia wants war," "Armenia distorts facts, deceives the international community," "Armenian mines are war crimes," "Armenia destroyed the cultural heritage of Azerbaijan and Armenia," "Armenian mines kill civilian population," and images covering these topics. The awareness campaign was organized by the Azerbaijani Women of America Association and Azerbaijan Cultural Center in New York City. Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi's visit to Iran was not welcomed by the U.S. public and local media organizations. In an article published in the well-known Boston Herald publication, it was emphasized that against the background of the upcoming elections, the visit to Iran is the last hope of Pelosi. The New York Times newspaper wrote about the tension on the Azerbaijan-Armenia border.
Pelosi imperils Americans' interests. The article with this title was published in the Boston Herald publication of the United States. The author, who strongly criticized the recent visit of the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, to Armenia, said that in early September, when the military clashes started on the border of the two countries, Pelosi announced a high-profile visit and declared that she would show her support only to the right side. The reason for the Pelosi's obvious support for Armenia is the upcoming elections, because the Democrats have their backs against the wall, and this visit is the last struggle to hold on the Speaker's job. The visit was also aimed at swinging the voters in her favor. Pelosi is not interested in foreign policy, U.S. diplomacy and international consequences. The article noted that Azerbaijan, blessed with immense Caspian gas resources, has pledged to increase gas supplies to Europe by 30% in the current tense international situation. But the actions of the Democrats say that those swing votes matter more than global security and people freezing to death this winter across the European continent. And the article entitled "Trying to Understand the Conflict Between Armenia and Azerbaijan," published in the New York Times, it was emphasized that the European Union continues its efforts for a peace deal. The active participation of the European Union in the negotiation process is connected with the fact that after the Russian-Ukrainian war, the EU countries are looking for an additional supplier of natural gas. Azerbaijan is a reliable and trustworthy partner.
The information disseminated in Armenian social networks that Azerbaijani army units allegedly opened fire to commit a provocation in the direction of the Basar-Kachai region, and that Azerbaijani servicemen conducting combat duty were wounded as a result of the retaliatory fire opened by the Armenian servicemen, does not reflect the reality and is completely false. This is the next provocative information of the opposing side, the Azerbaijani Defense Ministry reported. We strongly deny this information. The Azerbaijani army's personnel was not wounded, and there are no losses among the military equipment, said the ministry. That was all for the day. Thank you for being with us, and see you next time.